I'm confessing to an incident that took place in early summer 1995 and living in a suburb of Reading in Berkshire.
Who's this from, by the way?
Diane.
You've got that.
I never did.
Me and him weren't listening.
Definitely didn't.
I so did. I so said it was Diane.
You so didn't.
Okay, anyway.
Okay. So tonight's confession from Diane.
Yes.
Early summer, 95, living in a suburb of Reading in Berkshire. It was every parent's favourite part of the day, getting 3 kids up, washed, dressed, fed and ready for school. In my case, I have 3 girls. The eldest was 5 back then, the twins 16 months.
Oh my goodness.
It's a hard work in the morning then coming up. Now, as you may well know, getting children to follow instructions and to keep to a regimental routine needs military precision. Breakfast consisted of 2 toddlers in high chairs working their way through their cereal, but having got bored of using their spoons, they resorted to squeezing the mush through their fingers, smearing it over their faces and encrusting it in their hair. The eldest child sat beautifully, however, and had soon finished breakfast and taken herself upstairs to get washed and dressed for school. So having cleaned said breakfast from the twins' faces, then came the next challenge, getting them into the buggy. Having positioned the buggy in the doorway to prevent escapes, I located the first twin, swiftly managed to secure her into her seat, to then be able to grab her sister. By the time I got her to the buggy, the first twin had managed to slip out of the seat and was now trying to crawl under the buggy. By this time, we should have been at school, dropping my eldest off, so with harassed haste, I managed to drag the twin from under the buggy, get her into the seat, only for her to do the toddler statue routine, refusing to sit in the contours of the chair until, with a little help from me, she snapped into place. We raced off for school, but as we approached, we could hear the bell, and I was frantically trying to think up an excuse as to our lateness. As we rounded the corner at speed, my eldest asked me what was in her packed lunch. Ham sandwich, fruit bar, cheese and crisps, I said distractedly. What type of crisps? Wotsit, I replied, trying to squeeze the buggy through the gate and getting my top jammed in the hinge at the same time. Mum, yes? What's a Wotsit made from? Well, you know, it was the straw that broke the camel's back, and to this day I haven't a clue where the following reply came from. But before I realised what I was saying, I replied, snails. However, if I thought this was going to shut her up, I was sadly mistaken. How do snails turn orange and cheesy? She shot back, her face looking puzzled. Well, you cook them, of course, I said hastily, as at this point I was trying to explain to her teacher our lateness, whilst at the same time trying to keep the twins in their buggy. Once home and recovered from the school run ordeal, with the twins tucked up having a nap, I set to tidying and cleaning and that kind of thing. As it was such a nice day, I decided to hang the washing out. And as I went to hang her shirt up, I dropped a peg. I bent down to pick it up, and there, lying beside the peg, was an empty snail shell. Well, it was here, Father Simon, that my devious mummy mind began working overtime. I looked around, I found 5 more snail shells. So I gathered them up, left the washing, and went inside, armed with cheesy flavour corn puffs.
Which, yeah.
Well, I've said Wotsit's enough, so I
okay.
have to,
We now have to go to that.
Cheesy flavour curly shapes.
Okay.
Armed with a whole hand of them, a frying pan and a tub of margarine from the fridge, I set to sticking snail shells to the said snacks and setting them out in the pan. Leaving them sitting on the hob, I then went to collect my eldest from school. The usual chit-chat ensued on the route home. How was your day? What did you do? As we got home, my daughter's bag, coat and shoes were cast aside in expectation of the tidy-up fairy dealing with them later. She ran ahead to the kitchen. I entered the kitchen a few seconds later to find a somewhat green child staring at the pan of orange snacks topped with snail shells. My eldest then promptly burst into tears and ran from sight. We've had variations on the thing, but this is very good. Father Simon, I obviously seek forgiveness not from my eldest daughter, who has grown up eventually knowing that it was a practical joke, but obviously spending a while believing that cheesy flavoured curly shapes were originally snails. But from the manufacturer of the said snack, the cheesy flavoured corn puffs, for the sudden,
this is so good.
for the sudden drop in sales of the above-mentioned product in my household, and possibly from a few of her school friends as well, as she went around explaining that the curly-shaped corn puffs were actually snails, causing widespread revulsion in our area. Well, sometimes parents just snap. They say the first thing that comes in. Go ahead, like you remember we had on the Classic Confession a while back, the line about the deceased husband being in prison, that one.
Yeah, very
so
good.
sometimes you just say stuff to make your life easier. Sister Bobby, what do you say to Diane here?
Well, Diane, first of all, those are my absolute favourites. So I'm with your 5-year-old. They are absolutely gorgeous, those cheesy...
Curly cheese flavour puffs.
Well, yeah, but you have to be careful on the brand because, it does vary from brand to brand because some use very different cheese. It's not
Is that
as
right?
cheesy.
So
yes.
you have a choice of cheesy flavoured curly
Yeah,
shapes.
well, there's only really one choice. Anyway, that aside, what I love the inventiveness of this. I don't know if you needed to do it though, but I kind of like the fun. The thing is, of course, what you didn't anticipate is her being deeply upset by it, and it's one of those things. You do things.
If you stick one of those curly shaped corn puffs in a snail shell, you are asking for trouble, are you not?
Well, the thing is, of course, the children are really confused when they go out in the garden and they see one that's not orange, of course. The risk is, and this is my fear and why I can't forgive, is it might have encouraged small children
To eat snails?
to eat snails, yes.
Well,
After heating.
They do that abroad.
Yes, I know.
Anyway, Matthew.
Anyway, not forgiven.
Okay.
Not forgiven. I love that just for the number of euphemisms you had to come up with for said corn snack with cheese elements to it, which we obviously ran out of after 2.
Yes.
We decided we were going to have to say product. We're going to have to say curly cheesy thing after the 18th time. So I loved it for that. And obviously I always am a massive advocate of lying to your children. No problems there. And if they do end up eating snails, it's very continental, something that our cousins across the water love very much. So I am going to forgive. Because of reasons.
Very good. Okay, so very good. People's verdict, please. Do you forgive? Diane, please, on the text 88291. Thank you so much.